It's the beginning of the week. Everyone's getting those mock drafts out, which means it's time for Mock the Mock, where we take a look at someone else's mock draft. And I'm mock and give you my views, thoughts, and opinions. And what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo. Just in case you did not know so, go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful football discourse. We will be checking out the Draft Network because they give me the prettiest thumbnails. And it's Kyle Krabs from the Draft Network. Great football mind. I suggest you checking out his work on thedraftnetwork.com or follow him on Twitter. And also a special thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring the video. Whether you like weekly fantasy, player prop bets, or even just regular pick'ems, then Underdog Fantasy may be for you. You could use promo code Broshmo when you sign up and they hook you up from the get-go. It also helps out the channel. So if you want to support the channel, check out Underdog Fantasy. Link will be in the description. Always bet responsibly, my friends. But let's go ahead, get into this. I believe it'll be with the current draft order. It only makes sense to do so. So yes, current draft order. So let's go ahead, get this sucker going with the Houston Texans. CJ Stroud. Ooh, this one's a bit interesting. They are two different, between Bryce Young and Stroud, they're two different quarterbacks. I tend to lean with Young because I feel like he's got a bit more intangibles. But obviously, in terms of physical tools, prototypical quarterback size, you got a very good arm, a guy that's very good at placing the ball downfield along the sideline and just in the breadbaskets of his pass catchers. So I understand if the size is too much to overcome for some teams. When it comes to Bryce Young, they feel better to err on the side of caution with a guy like CJ Stroud. It's fine. So Texans, regardless, you're taking quarterback here for the Texans. And the new two is the Carolina Panthers. Thank goodness. They get Bryce Young. I love that pickup. I think Bryce Young is just the bee's knees. The bee's knees. Oh, man. Gotta love that. But really, dude, I think Bryce Young is a very good quarterback. I think he's a lot better over the middle than people give him credit for. I know, again, size is kind of going to be the harping point. Can he maintain in the league? And it's not like he's a guy that wants to run all the time or has to run. He definitely prefers to pass the football. And the only time you really see him take unnecessary hits is when trying to extend the play with his legs, but still trying to maintain the pass. That's how it initially got hurt, as he was rushed to the sideline and got hit while letting the ball go, falling on that shoulder. But for the most part, he's very good at protecting himself. I think no-brainer for the Panthers. So we see the top two quarterbacks on board. I wonder where Will Levis goes. He's kind of arguably the number 3. It just depends where, how good do you feel about those physical tools? Do you feel good top 10 or do you feel good top 20? All right. Chicago Bears go Peter Skoronski. Honestly, at this point, I'd be feeling, we know the Raiders are next. I'd be feeling Will Anderson or Jalen Carter here. I feel like Jalen Carter might be the more Matt Eberflus type of pick. He loves those defensive linemen, but I don't think he'd shy away from Will Anderson if he does believe Anderson is the better prospect. Peter Skoronski, there's going to be questions about, can this man play tackle in the NFL because of a lack of length and not exactly being a high-tier athlete. But he's powerful. He's a very good technician. He has played 3 outstanding seasons of college football. I don't know if it'll be enough to get him in the top 3. And if I'm the Bears, I'm probably lining him up with the defense at this point. And again, if I'm the Bears, I'm picking maybe like closer to 10. That's when I maybe think offensive tackle or I think wide receiver. I still think wide receiver is a huge issue for the Bears. But I think this is a bit early for Skoronski. I'm not passing on guys like Anderson or Carter. And then the Las Vegas Raiders, almost said Oakland, go Will Anderson. Listen, the pass rush, it's kind of trash. It really is. It's not that good. A lot of that falls on the shoulders of Chandler Jones, looking like he's cooked at this point, unfortunately. They put a whole lot of money into him. Unfortunately, it is what it is. You're not going to be high enough taking a quarterback unless you want to swing on Will Levis. And I really do feel like this team could get by with Carr. I think Carr's fine, though there is that opt-out. But then it's like, what are you going to do to maneuver to get a quarterback And it would probably mean sacrificing this pick either to move up or even to acquire a quarterback from another team. Maybe you get lucky and Lamar Jackson does hit free agency. Highly doubt it. But Will Anderson is kind of the logical choice here to pair up with Max Crosby. Seattle Seahawks via the Denver Broncos. Man, Broncos sucking bad this year. They go Tyree Wilson. Oh my gosh, dude, this is surprising. This really is. So, I think Tyree Wilson's a good fit. I don't know if he'll be good enough to sneak into the top 10 or top 5. Top 10, yes. Top 5, I don't know. I still kind of weigh with Miles Murphy. The pass rush for the Seahawks can get better. A lot of what they do isn't winning out on the edge necessarily. It's a lot of stunts and such, but they got promising parts there. Adding another premier pass rusher would be dope, but I think Jalen Carter is kind of a no-brainer here for the Seahawks. And then the Detroit Lions via the Rams. Imagine this is Jalen Carter. Hello, it's Jalen Carter. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Jalen Carter's fabulous. They would love this in the middle of the defense. Can you imagine an offensive line with Aiden Hutchinson and Jalen Carter? I said offensive line, defensive line. That's cuckoo bonanza. Again, another team, you're not sure what's going to happen at the quarterback position. You're just kind of hoping it's not Goff. Just because, like, Goff kind of caps what you can do this free agency in terms of bringing in good veteran talent on your defense. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. Maybe you have to go another year with Goff, which some Lions fans are okay with, but I legit don't think he is, even as a short-term answer, isn't a great answer. I mean, honestly, I'd rather go with a guy like Jacoby Brissett, who will be a free agent this season. And, like, honestly, yeah, release Goff and then, like, go after Brissett. High-end backup who's honestly the best player right now, not named Myles Garrett or Nick Chubb, on the Browns. Like, Brissett's playing, like, good football. I'm not saying he's, like, a top 10 quarterback in the league, but he has done a very good job. It's really been the underwhelming parts of that team have all been defensively. Outside of Myles Garrett, the team has looked a hot mess on defense. And then this is, speaking of the Cleveland Browns, this is the Houston Texans via the Cleveland Browns. They went Stroud. What's next on the menu? It's Myles Murphy. Get in pass rush. I like that. I love what Myles Murphy brings. I think Lovie Smith would love a player like this if he is the coach next season. But, yeah, I think you get 2 of the top 5 players in this draft. It kind of emulates what happened with the Giants last year, where they managed to get both Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal. And then we have the Pittsburgh Steelers going Olu Fashanu, flying up people's boards. The dude is young. You know there's a lot of upside to Fashanu. Maybe not all the way put together as a run blocker yet, but this is his first year as a starter. And he's just so put together as a pass protector that you're willing to bet that the run blocking will eventually come along for a guy that's only 19 going on 20. So Olu playing good football. Jacksonville Jaguars go Jordan Addison. So pairing him up with Calvin Ridley, like you're getting a lot of speed on this team. I kind of like the idea of Quentin Johnston pairing up with Calvin Ridley with Christian Kirk in the slot. Zay Jones is fine depth guy that could come on the field and honestly relieve any of those guys. So I like the idea of the Jaguars going with another receiver, and then you just suddenly you have this nice, for the most part, not a deep, but a very above average looking receiver room for Trevor Lawrence. That way you can make an educated decision on Trevor Lawrence if he's a guy you want to move forward with. But Jordan Addison, I don't like. He's a good separator. He can do it vertically. He can do it horizontally. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad pick. I think I'm cool with the receiver either way. Like, Addison's been playing a majority of snaps on the outside this year, and I just love that he's proved he could do that. And then the Philadelphia Eagles via the New Orleans Saints is their first pick, and they go Brian Brazee. Can you imagine pairing this cat up with Jordan Davis? Oh, that just sounds sexy. The pass rush has been great for the Eagles. The thing is, stopping the run has not. been that great. Fletcher Cox might be a guy that they move on from, who is in the twilight years. They could also bring back Hargrave, no problem, and have this nice, sick 3-man rotation on the interior. All right, on to the Green Bay Packers. Quentin Johnson, never going to happen. 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 So you're getting a more sure-handed receiver here. As we know, this team struggled with drops, mainly Christian Watson. He's that big play home run threat, but he has a knack for drops. I think he has like 5 or 6 drops in the last 2 games to match up with his 5 touchdowns. So you can see the make and break, or at least the good coming with the bad when it comes to Watson. So grabbing someone who's more sure-handed, who I think provides a bit more after the catch, especially as a big-bodied receiver, I think would go a long way for the Packers. Then you have Romeo Dubs, or Dubes, I think it's Dubs, in there too. Alan Lazard's kind of like, he's fine-ish, but the receiving core then does feel a bit better. So going forward, your guys will be Watson, Dubs, and Johnston. So that's honestly really nice. I think especially with Watson, where he's seeing his most success is kind of in a slot role, or they like to pair him they'll have trips and have him as the innermost receiver and kind of taking advantage of those crossers and whatnot. So it's like, I don't know, man. I think that would be cool for the Packers if they do go that route. I imagine Cardinals, we're going to see our first corner off the board here in Christian Gonzalez. Gonzalez has been very good this season. He was on Bruce Feldman's freaks list. I think you can make a case that he could be the top corner. A lot of people are Joey Porter guys. A lot of people are Keely Ringo guys. There are a lot of people that are Cam Smith guys. Cam Smith kind of had a rough week this past week against Tennessee, despite holding the win. I said rough week. It was really a lot of back and forth. But this was probably the first time a team really decided to go at Cam Smith. And which, hey, man, yeah, like, it's going to happen every now and then. Corner's a volatile position. For the Cardinals, get in more talent, more competition, more depth at that corner position, I think is so key. The Detroit Lions are going with Joey Porter. So next corner is off the board here. Makes a lot of sense because you have Jeffrey Okuda, and that's about it. So giving him someone on the other side of him, I think would be really nice. I think coming away from this draft with Porter and Carter is a huge win for the Detroit Lions. And you got just a lot of nice young talent on that defense, whether it's Kirby Joseph, Malcolm Rodriguez. Aleem McNeil has been probably their best interior player. Hopefully Levi Ozarike could return from injury next season and prove he's not a bust. So, yeah, no, I like it. I'm loving it. I imagine the Colts here are going to go with Will Levis, and they do. It's Will Levis. It's kind of a no-brainer. This is probably one of the biggest landing spots for Will Levis, just because people are starting to fall off on him in terms of a first-round guy, but he's a guy with all the tools. He is capable of processing the field. The accuracy for him can be a bit inconsistent, but he can put the ball on the money. It's really the decision making has been the worst. Like this whole season, it's just been really bad. But he's a guy with all the tools. So I think Irsay looks at this guy and be like, oh yes, please, I would love me a guy that, can he move in the pocket? Oh, thank goodness, I got a statue back there by the name of Matt Ryan. I could really use a guy that can move, especially with how crap the left side of my offensive line's looking. Yeah, because haven't they been playing Nelson on the right side? Or is it Freeze that's playing right? I guess we could go ahead and check this out real quick. Because I really thought, I know typically Quentin Nelson is a left guard, but I think they've recently been playing him on the right side. Maybe I'm making that up. I'm making it up. I lied to y'all. It's Will Freeze that has been playing right tackle. Yeah. I just thought Bernhard Raimann was being paired up with Freeze, but yeah, I mean, you see the young parts of that line in Freeze, in Raimann, which I think things will come around with Raimann. A lot of his issues have been power, like getting beat by power. We saw that with Brandon Graham, I think, this past week. But I was pretty high on Raimann. I think he could come around and look pretty darn nice. Don't know why I was talking about that, but it kind of is what it is. Let me get that. All right. Keely Ringo going to the Atlanta Falcons. Adding cornerback depth. I don't think that's a bad answer. I mean, you're picking here in the middle of the first round. I would just say let the value come to you wherever you feel it may come from. Just go ahead and take it. You can make a case for tackle. You can make a case for pass rush. I don't know. I feel like just Ringo here, it's just better than what you have in terms of edge talent on the board. So I like this pick. I'm a big fan of Ringo. He hasn't been it's been hit or miss. Like, you go to this Kentucky game this past weekend, he got beat on like a 15-yard fade. But then I think in that same corner, he responds with an interception that he almost he takes to midfield. So it's at least in terms of what he brings to the table in tools, length, athleticism, and size. It's you want to bet on that starting to click, and we've seen it in parts. I think he needs a bit more polish. Cam Smith going to the Commanders. So we have seen the four corners. Everyone kind of talks about his first rounders come off the board here. I think it makes sense for Washington as their cornerback room is outside of Benjamin St. Jude's, and they got Kendall Fuller. But he feels like more of this journey guy at this point. So grabbing more young talent, I think, is kind of key there at the corner position. On to the Los Angeles Chargers. They go Paris Johnson. They essentially get a replacement. I think Jamari Sawyer has done an all right job filling in a left tackle, but I do think he's probably better suited in a guard spot. Pipkins. He's kind of whatever. I think you want to look for someone you could actually pair up with Slater. Paris Johnson would be that, so I really like this pick. On to the Cincinnati Bengals. They go Broderick Jones. Big fan of Broderick Jones. Oh, fun fact. Let's see if Jalen Duncan's still in here, because he has been god-awful the last 2 weeks. But Broderick Jones, man, he's a very good run blocker who's coming together as a pass protector. You would like to see a bit more quick feet, but there have been improvements in that regard. Nice wide base, super strong. I think Broderick Jones, he's probably the 4th OT in this class. When you look at guys like Johnson, Fashanu, and Skoronski, I think those guys are just a smidge ahead of Jones, but Jones has been really good. Tampa Bay Buccaneers go with Derek Hall. Ooh, this is a bit of a surprise. Derek Hall, I really like as a wide 9 guy, because he's not necessarily the most bendy, but you put him wide 9 and have him rush from an angle, then you don't really have to have that necessarily. You don't have to have that great bend. The dude's super explosive. Been very productive the last few seasons. I don't know if this is the right guy for the Bucks though. That, and I have Derek Hall as more of a top 75 guy rather than a first rounder, but he's pretty good, man. Denver Broncos via the San Francisco 49ers go DeJuan Jones. This is a guy we need to start talking about too. He's a mammoth human being. Reminds me of Russell Crowe from The Gladiator. Are you not entertained? Bring on another. And he's just knocking guys back and forth, man. He's super strong. It moves actually really well for a man his size. Like, I really like that. Throwing this dude at right tackle, which he plays right now, I think it's just, I love it. Right, on to the Seattle Seahawks. Remember, they got Tyree Wilson with their first pick. They're going John Michael Schmitz. I really think the interior play, yeah, you probably want to address the interior. Probably the only guy you want moving forward on the interior right now is Damian Lewis, just because he's a young guy you drafted. You're hoping maybe it'll click in year 3. I think next year will be year 3 for him. Schmitz is more of this day 2 guy that you can expect to be an immediate starter or someone that can push to be a starter. That doesn't necessarily have the most high upside. So value-wise, not entirely in love with it, but this guy's going to be a really good player. Big fan of John Michael Schmitz. New England Patriots, they're going with Isaiah Foskey. If you didn't know, Foskey just set the record for sacks at Notre Dame, career sacks. Good for him. Big fan of this cat. I think what he brings a high floor, high ceiling. You love the length. You love the juice he plays with. Will he ever turn that into elite production? Not entirely positive, but you're getting a guy that can get pressure and will be a very good run stuffer at the very least. So pairing him up with Matt Judon seems really cool. The New York Jets, they go Brian Branch. Dude, I've been telling people this is such a good pick. I mean, the safety position needs a full upgrade. You got, what is it, Whitehead? Jordan? Is it Jordan Whitehead? I don't feel like that's his name. Yeah, it's Jordan Whitehead. Okay. All I know is y'all got him from the Bucks. He's been playing all right, but getting a guy like Brian Branch who could play deep, who could play in the slot, which would be your LaMarcus Joyner, who's been kind of whatever. You have Michael Carter there really as your slot guy. Michael Carter the second. I believe it's second. Former Duke player, I believe. But like Brian Branch could really play slot. He could play any of the safety positions. I think he could play corner if you need him in some cases. Like, he brings a lot of versatility, and I think he'd be really good in this defense. The Buffalo Bills are going with Rashee Rice. Ooh, that is interesting. Like, this does feel like a value pick, but with Osiris Torrance on the board, I think that's kind of like a no-brainer. Like, Roger Saffold seems washed at this point. You have Ryan Bates playing the other guard spot, and he's a guy that can be upgraded from. So grabbing like Osiris Torrance, I think would be really good here. Rashee Rice, like, you're just kind of enriching another position. Like a guy that can play outside, he can play in the slot. Like, he's a good competitor. I don't know. I feel like there's probably better spots you could go as of right now. And I'm not this high on Rice just yet. Baltimore Ravens are going to go with Bijan Robinson. He falls all the way to here. Listen, J.K. Dobbins can't get healthy. He hasn't been able to get healthy from that ACL injury. I think he pulled the hammy on his second week back. Gus Edwards, okay. Kenyon Drake, okay. But Bijan's he legit, you immediately, I think, get a top 10 running back in the NFL. Am I being facetious? Maybe. But he's that good. He is that good, and a guy that you can use in the passing game too. Whether it's out of the backfield or you throw him in the slot. I really love this. I really do. All right, what is this? Baltimore's leading non-quarterback rusher last season was Devontae Freeman. I didn't know that. Well, I guess they did have the injury to Dobbins, so that does make sense. But yeah, no, I actually, this is a really good value for Bijan at this point. The Tennessee Titans go Jalen Hyatt. They get a separator here. Maybe he can play on the outside. That's kind of my only gripe with him, because I don't think he plays with a lot of physicality. But I love what he can do in terms of separation. The dude's a blazer in terms of speed. And I like what he can do when out in space sometimes. So, Hyatt would be a game changer to the squad. The Dallas Cowboys go. Michael Mayer, he could only fall for so much. So listen, I don't know if I necessarily like this. Like, the value is really good. Don't get me wrong. Dalton Schultz is on the franchise tag, correct? But they've kind of, I think, done a good job with like the guys behind Schultz, with Jake Ferguson and oh my gosh, what's the former Indiana tight end's name? Peyton Hendershot. Like, that's a good combination of tight ends that do a variety of different things pretty darn well. Throw Mayer in that mix, like, again, Osiris Torrance is here, really can juice the running back room or the offensive line for the running back room, because hopefully you bring back Tony Pollard. I don't know. You let me know. The New York Giants go Osiris Torrance. So a team that does need help on the interior here is definitely the Giants. I imagine you bring back Saquon. He has been your offense, and we've seen, like, honestly, in the losses for the Giants this year, it's because they can't get the run game going. And honestly, I don't think they have a quarterback capable of having to shoulder the team on having to put the team on his back. And I think that was apparent this past week. To be fair, they did lose Wan'Dale Robinson late in that game. So receiver could be an option here, but in this receiving class, you're picking to the back end. I would probably be like, let's just shoot for one in day 2. Minnesota Vikings go with Devin Witherspoon. Oh, this is the highest I've seen. He had that rough, I can't remember if it was a holding or a pass interference call late in the Michigan game that led to Michigan's go-ahead field goal. And I thought it could have gone either way, because you could see in the replay, it looked way worse in real time than it did in the replay. In the replay, you saw the receiver holding onto Witherspoon's pads and just kind of like pulling him along, with Witherspoon trying to break free of that. So I thought maybe, like, after like the replay, I felt like I was like, you know what, that's always gonna get called on the corner, but man, this late in the game, I feel like you just don't call that. But I don't know. Witherspoon still had a pretty solid game, and he's had a really good year. He's got good length, good size, good athlete as well. He's been a pass breakup machine this year, and he's a hard hitter, man. And if we're talking about that next corner up, that cornerback 3, like maybe you think Clark Phillips, because he's the guy here that I know the Vikings won't care too much about his size, who might be a better, maybe a scheme fit, though I think Witherspoon would be fine. Emmanuel Forbes would be a phenomenal scheme fit, I think, for the Vikings, but is what it is. Also, Andrew Booth had a really rough debut. The Kansas City Chiefs go Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't know if I'll really want to talk about this. I think they need to go defense. You might be like, oh, man, look, the running back room's in shambles. They win in spite of it. I don't care who's playing running back there for the Chiefs. They could sign guys off the street, and it'll be fine. They don't need a premier running back. That's not what this team is missing. They don't need that. They need defense. They need pass rush. They need more help in the cornerback room. Though I think bringing in veteran talent might be better for that, because they have a lot of young talent at the cornerback position. So pass rush might be it, because a lot of pass rushers on the board here. And then I believe this is the final pick, because the Dolphins, done goofed and forfeited their first-round pick. And we see Clark Phillips going to the Eagles. I just don't think it's a good scheme fit. We've seen the Eagles play a lot of man coverage this year. And in year 1 of Gannon's defense, they played a lot of cover 3. So, like, for me, Phillips doesn't really match up with what they want to do there defensively. A guy that's 5'10", 185, 183. That's more of this off-coverage zone corner. I don't think he pairs up with what they want to do there at the corner position for the Eagles. So I just don't disagree with the position, disagree with the player that they pick. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. And as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.